everybody. Welcome to Song of the Week, number 5. This week, we will be exploring a song about one of the greater things in life, love. The song is called Something's Got a Hold on Me by Etta James. Etta's voice in this song just sounds exactly what the words would feel like, deep and powerful. Her mix of R&B and gospel sounds really resonate with you listening to this song. It starts out with her belting it out and that ends up being a theme throughout the whole song. She captures you within the first 30 seconds of the song, making the listener wonder where her voice will take you next. This is just one of those songs that are so fun to sing along with, and you know you're not going to be able to sound like her, but it's at least fun to try. This song was written by Etta James, Leroy Kirkland, and Pearl Woods, while production was handled by Leonard and Phil Chess. It was released in 1962. Upon its release, the single was an R&B hit, peaking at number 4 on the Billboard Hot R&B Sides chart. Here's a bit about Etta James's life. All this information is taken from biography.com. She really managed to stay relatively relevant throughout the years. Her career is definitely worth telling the story of. So, Etta James was a gospel prodigy. In 1954, she moved to Los Angeles to record The Wallflower. Her career had begun to soar by the 1960s, due in no small part to songs like I'd Rather Go Blind and At Last. Despite her continued drug problems, she earned a Grammy Award nomination for her 1973 album. In 2006, she released an album, All the Way, and James died in Riverside, California on January 20th, 2012, and continues to be considered one of the most dynamic singers in music. James was born Jamesetta Hawkins on January 25th, 1938, in Los Angeles, California, to a 14-year-old mother, Dorothy Hawkins. She encouraged her daughter's singing career. James would later say, "My mother always told me, even if a song had been done 1,000 times, you can still bring something of your own to it. I'd like to think that I did that." James never knew her father. By the age of 5, James was known as a gospel prodigy, gaining fame by singing in her church choir and on the radio. At age 12, she moved north to San Francisco, where she formed a trio and was soon working for a band leader, Johnny Otis. 4 years later, in 1954, she moved to Los Angeles to record The Wallflower, a tamer title for the then risque Roll With Me Henry with the Otis Band. It was that year that the young singer became Etta James, a shortened version of her first name, and her vocal group was dubbed the Peaches, also Etta's nickname. Soon after, James launched her solo career with such hits as Good Rockin' Daddy in 1955. After singing with the Chicago's Chess Records in 1960, James's career began to soar. Chart toppers included the heartbreaking ballad All I Could Do Is Cry and At Last and Trust in Me. But James's talents weren't reserved for only powerful ballads. She knew how to rock a house and did so with the gospel-charged tunes such as Something's Got a Hold on Me in 1962, In the Basement in 1966, and I'd Rather Go Blind in 1968. James continued to work with Chess throughout the 60s and the early 70s. Sadly, a heroin addiction affected both her personal and professional life, but despite her continued drug problems, she persisted in making new albums. In 1967, James recorded the Muscle Shoals House Band in the Fame Studios, and the collaboration resulted in the triumphant Tell Mama album. James' work gained positive attention from critics as well as fans, and her 1973 album, Etta James, earned a Grammy nomination, in part for its creative combination of rock and funk sounds. After completing her contract with Chess in 1977, James signed on with Warner Brothers Records. A renewed public profile followed her appearance at the opening ceremony of the Los Angeles Olympics in 1984, and subsequent albums including Deep in the Night and 7-Year Itch received high critical acclaim. James was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1993 prior to her signing a new recording contract with Private Records. James continued to perform and record well into the 90s. In 2003, James underwent gastric bypass surgery and lost over 200 pounds. The dramatic weight loss had an impact on her voice, as she told Ebony magazine that year. "I can sing lower, higher, and louder," James explained. That same year, James released Let's Roll, which won the Grammy Award for the Best Contemporary Blues Album. Her sons, Danto and Sammetto James served as producers on the recording, along with Josh Sklar. This team regrouped for her next effort, Blues to the Bone, in 2004, which brought James her third Grammy Award, this time for Best Traditional Blues Album. As she entered her 70s, James began struggling with health issues. She was hospitalized in 2010 for a blood infection, along with other ailments. It was later revealed that the legendary singer suffered from dementia and was receiving treatment for leukemia. Her medical problems came to light in court papers filed by her husband, artist Mills. Mills sought to gain control over $1 million of James's money, but he was challenged by James's two sons, Danto and Sammetto. The two parties later worked out an agreement. James released her latest studio album, The Dreamer, in November 2011, which received warm reviews. A few weeks later, James's doctor announced that the singer was terminally ill. She's in the final stages of leukemia, and she has also been diagnosed with dementia and hepatitis C, Dr. Elaine James, not related to the singer, told a local newspaper. James' sons also acknowledged that Etta's health was declining and was receiving care at her Riverside, California home. She certainly has had a career worth celebrating, and despite her personal battles, has managed to put out many albums of wonderful music. For this song, I didn't think that it was appropriate to read the lyrics because I really feel like it's a song that you have to feel the way that she sings it. So I would suggest going on YouTube and looking up the song and enjoying it there. Have a good week, everybody.